Hey, it's a Humble Collector here, and today's video we have another unboxing. This is a whole mess of death cards and probably one of the nicest pieces of trench art that I've ever bought. We'll save that for last. First things first, I have a bit of a cold, so I apologize if my voice sounds a little bit off. I'm going to do my best not to be sniffling while I'm doing this, but if any get through editing, I apologize. It's also terribly windy today, so if you hear wind in the background, again, apologize, but I'm leaving for a trip shortly, and I really want to get these open because I really want to see this trench art and get it up on the shelf and everything. Also, out of the 11-ish envelopes of death cards there were, I think like 8 of them I had to open up beforehand because they had the person's address on the front and back. Haven't looked through the cards yet, so we'll be doing that for the first time on camera. But yeah, now that all that's out of the way, let's get started. So the first pack of death cards here, if I open these up, let's see, we have a mailer type card for Alfred Steininger, who was a bearer of the Wound Badge, and Black Wound Badge, who on February 2nd, 1945, fell in the fighting in Mittelabschnitt on the Ostfront at the age of 20. And it looks like his funeral was held on February 25th by his family. So, nice late war funeral invitation mailer kind of card there. It looks like the next one here is Kriegsmarine. We have Otto Hintenhaus, who, let's see, was a Hauptgefreiter, and he was killed on the Western Front on January 24th, 1945, at the age of 45. Or, not 45, 24. Don't know where 45 came from. It's been a long day. Moving to the next card here. We have Paul Gruber, who was an Obermatt in a Matrosen-Nachrichtenabteilung, which would be a naval communications unit, bearer of the Iron Cross from the First World War, and some other kind of honor medal from 1918, who was born on October 17th, 1898, and was killed or died on April 10th, 1942. So World War I veteran here. Probably a pretty interesting story. I'm looking forward to doing research on that one. Ooh, we have another Kriegsmarine. I don't get Kriegsmarine cards very often. This is for Aloy Augendoppler, who was a Hauptgefreiter in a Grenadier regiment, who was killed on January 24th, 1945, in the northern part of the Eastern Front. So obviously Aloy here was in the Kriegsmarine, and at some point prior to the end of the war there, he was transferred and trained as infantry and kind of thrown into a Grenadier regiment, I'm assuming is what happened. Not very uncommon at all at that point in the war. And last out of these cards is the death card of Franz Hubner, who was buried the Iron Cross Second Class, the Panzer Assault Badge in bronze, who died at the age of 22 in the West on February 28th, 1945. So actually a nice lot of mostly late war cards there. All right, and moving to the next package here. Alrighty. Oh, this is a really cool one. So this is the death card of Alexander Rausch, who was an Unteroffizier in an infantry regiment, bearer of the Iron Cross Second Class, the Infantry Assault Badge, who was born on October 16th, 1913 in Bernbeuren, and fell on October 20th, 1941 at Kharkov. So this card is really cool to me. I'm a nerd when it comes to these cards, as you guys know. So the photo here of him and his horse, and he's got the I can't remember the German technical term for them, but it's like for the military band, the Swallow's Nest, I think they're called in the collector world. But yeah, just full page photo of him and his horse. Obviously, when you look at the propaganda footage from World War II, we think of the German army as being very mechanized, but they actually had more horses than really any other army in Europe during the Second World War. And they were very commonly used not only for hauling supplies and artillery and things, but officers would often be mounted to make it easier to go amongst their men and such things. I've only ever seen one other Second World War death card that had a horse on it, and the horse was actually in a separate photograph from the guy. So this is a very, very unusual, of the thousands of cards that I've seen at auction over the past, oh geez, how long have I been collecting cards now? Since 2018, maybe? So in the past 6 years, this is the only one like it I've ever seen. So I paid a bit of a premium for it, but it was 100% worth it, because I think it's just really neat. Moving on to the next card here, we have Hermann Kopfenberger, who was an Oberfeldwebel in an infantry regiment, who died at the age of 30 on December 20th, 1941 on the Eastern Front. Very nice ribbon bar, or not, metal bar that he has there, which I can't off the top of my head remember what any of those are. I apologize, but I'm sure somebody will point it out in the comments. And the last one from this lot is for Karl Spitzauer, who is a Gefreiter in a Gebersjäger regiment, bearer of the Iron Cross Second Class and the Wound Badge, who on June 25th, 1942, at the age of 22, was killed in the fight against Bolshevism on the Eastern Front. So, very nice photo of Karl there that we can see his wound badge. And you can actually see there's quite a bit of bleed from the Iron Cross print onto the other page here in the photograph onto the text. There was a video back in Militaria March of 2024. I don't know when this video is going to go out. That we talked a little bit in the comment section about card bleed. And I think that's mostly due to like quality of ink going down over the course of the war. And so now these cards being shipped, or this is sat folded up in somebody's attic for so long that just ambient humidity bled some of that ink. It doesn't seem like there's a very easy way to do a test to confirm that, at least from talking to a chemist friend of mine. But if anybody's interested in running such an experiment, please let me know. So yeah, 3 very nice cards there, actually. Apologize if you're new to these unboxings. I tend to get a bit rambly. This is just a loose card that came out of one of the envelopes. This is for Johann Edenhofer, who was a Gefreiter in Artillery Regiment, veteran of the campaigns in France and the Soviet Union, who died in the heavy fighting in the East on October 15th, 1941, at the age of 27. Really nice outdoor photograph of Johann here. Full body as well, which you don't see a ton of. And yeah, it appears to be maybe like a chicken coop or something behind him there. It's kind of hard to see. I'll have to magnify it later. But yeah, you don't see a ton of like outdoor shots in death cards. A lot of them tend to be studio portraits or just headshots or, shoulder up, chest up. So having a background like this that's obviously taken outside is somewhat unusual. And the kind of thing that I look out for when I'm buying cards. All right, so we have some postcards here that are taped together. So I'm going to grab my knife and see if we can't get that opened up. These look like they're a bit older postcards as well, so let's see. Yeah, 1973. And I don't think that one has a date that I can read. Huh, but interesting Belgian stamp there. It's kind of nice. But the death card that was in there was for Willy Ruland, who was a soldier in an infantry regiment who died on June 27th, 1944 in Luxembourg. Yeah, so you don't see a lot of cards from Luxembourg. He was born in Luxembourg. I can't remember. There was a lot of cards the guy was selling with soldiers that were from Luxembourg. This might be one of them because I think that should be in here somewhere. But yeah, I'll have to double check that when I translate this later. But pretty neat card. So the next one here, if I open this up. All right, so we'll start with that card. Oh, that's a very nice card. For Albert Moll, who was an Oberfeldwebel and officer candidate in a Grenadier regiment, bear the Iron Cross Second Class, the Infantry Assault Badge, and the Wound Badge in silver, born on August 21st, 1914 in Hausern, and fell on November 26, 1942 by Torepets. But yeah, very nice medal bar there. We can see his Iron Cross, a few other medals, Infantry Assault Badge, his Wound Badge, General Assault Badge. Or no, it's a DRL badge, not a General Assault Badge. And then we have like a nice, it looks like, yeah, nice kind of short biography of him here as well. Very, very nice photo. We have the marksmanship lanyard as well. Always nice seeing cards that have a lot of like medals and things on the uniform. And moving to the other card here, we have Josef Fetscher, who was an Unteroffizier in an infantry regiment, who on February 6, 1942, in a reserve hospital in Warsaw, died at the age of 31. Get those packed back in here. Yeah, I think that reserve hospital card was a bonus from the seller, if I'm remembering correctly. So the next one we have here, I just got tape on my finger. Get that off. All right. So going into this, I'm just going to fold this tape down so it doesn't get caught on the card. We have Sigmund Lex, who was a soldier in a Gebersjäger regiment, who was killed on October 20th, 1942 in the East. And, oh, we have two cards for Sigmund, actually, with 2 different color backings. Most death cards from this period are black and white. It's very unusual to see color backings. I probably only have maybe a dozen examples in my collection. So 2 different ones for the same individual is actually quite cool. Moving to the next pack of cards, there's quite a few in here. This is over a month's worth of auctions. Let's try to get these out of here without hurting any of the corners. Come on. There we go. All right, the first card here is for Marinus Kammerlor, who was a reserve Watchmeister, an SA Obertruppführer, bearer of the Warmare Crossing class with swords, who died in the Soviet Union on April 11th, 1943, at the age of 45. So I'm guessing a Polizei unit based off the Watchmeister there. Actually, an interesting backing, too. I'm not super familiar with that one. Next card that we have here is for Georg Schwab, a Gefreiter in a Panzer Regiment, who fell on July 25th, 1942 in the East at the age of 21. Very nice dress uniform, also a nice outside photo there, which, as I said earlier, is not super common. Next one is for Martin Baumgartner, who on October 8th, 1944, died in the Balkans in the fight against communist bandits at the age of 26, so killed on anti-partisan duty. Ooh, we have a nice HCOM 107 backing there. Blank, usually you'd fill in the soldier's name. But this is for Franz Wohlgemuth, who was an Obergefreiter in a Panzer Regiment, who died on September 30th, 1944 in the fighting in Romania. I don't have too many Romanian cards. Also, the paper quality on this one's kind of weird. I mean, I'm going to pull my jeweler loop here just to make sure it's a period card. I have no reason to believe it wouldn't be. And it certainly appears to be looking at the dot pattern. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. The paper just feels kind of weird. Moving to the next one here. We have Aloy Sinsetter, who is an Obergefreiter in an infantry regiment, veteran of the campaigns in France and Russia, who fell in the East on December 12th, 1942, at the age of 34. Seems to be wearing a nice greatcoat there, also a helmet, which you don't see in a lot of death card photos. So also a very nice card. Next one we have Johann Ronzetter, who was a Marine Gefreiter, who on January 4th, 1943, died Schwerenleiden at the age of 35. Blanking on the translation there, but he was killed January 4th, 1943. Also, nice dress white uniform there for the Kriegsmarine. Which is always cool to see. The next card here is for a Panzer soldier, as we can see. Josef Schwarzgruber, who on 22nd of August, 1942, died in the Soviet Union at the age of 24. He was an Obergefreiter in a Panzerjäger regiment. We have Fritz Fischer, who fell on October 18th, 1941, on the island of Krim at the age of 22. So, island of Krim, is that different than the Korean Peninsula, or is that the same thing? I'm not 100%. I think it would be different, but because usually it would be Crimean Peninsula. At least that's how I've seen it written before. Next card here is for Josef Spiegelberger, who's a Gefreiter in a heavy mortar unit, heavy mortar platoon, who died on June 23rd, 1941, at the age of 30. I think, Barbarossa was June 21st, I think, off the top of my head. So, 3 days into Barbarossa, he was killed. But yeah, I don't think I've ever actually had a card for a guy that was in a heavy mortar platoon. So that's kind of neat. Next card we have here is for Leopold Kren, who was an Oberschütze in a Grenadier regiment, who was killed on September 15th, 1939, in the campaign of Poland, specifically Zapiala, at the age of 24. I've been trying to get a lot of the earlier Polish campaign cards. So September 15th, the war started, September 1st, so 14 days into World War II. Still looking for that elusive first day of the war card, but I have not found it yet, at least I'm aware of. So go ahead and put these back in here. All right, now we're getting into the actual cards that I have not opened yet. So we'll go ahead and slice into this one. Alrighty. Oh, we got more postcards, looks like. These ones look a bit newer than the older ones I've seen in some of the other packages lately. It'd help if I could actually get the knife in the gap there. There we go. Alright, that should be everything. Alright, ooh, we have another rare Panzer Beret card which I'm just going to double check under the jeweler loop here real quick. And that does appear to be a period print. Good to see. So this is for Johann Kolmer, who was an Obergefreiter in a Panzer Regiment, buried the Iron Cross 2nd Class, veteran of the campaigns of Poland, France, and the Balkans, who died January 9th, 1943 in the East at the age of 26. So the Panzer Beret there was only worn in the very earliest parts of the war. I think it was phased out after the Polish campaign. So the fact that Johann has it in his picture here, and of course with all of the campaigns he's a veteran of that are listed, including Poland, he must have been in the Panzer Corps prior to the Second World War, in the training period lead up to the war breaking out. And then the other card that was in here is for Josef Glashauser, who is a Matrosen Obergefreiter, who was born March 28th, 1908 in Teisnach, and fell April 22nd, 1945, by Einmarsch fighting American troops, it looks like. So that's kind of an unusual reference there, and we have a nice HCOM backing as well. So yeah, pretty neat. Yeah, I've seen a handful of cards that specify fighting against Soviet troops, but never fighting against American troops. That'll be an interesting one to research. Moving to the next envelope here. All right, looks like the seller left a note for me. You've had a lot of sellers tend to include their WhatsApp and email if they happen to sell a lot of death cards. I haven't really reached out to any of them up to this point just because I frankly buy more death cards than I should anyway. We have a postcard here. Nice, of the Blessed Virgin Mary. February 4th. I don't see a year on here anywhere, but it looks older. I'll have to look into that later. But the card that was in there was for, I think it's just this one, Hans Schrattenberger, who was an Obergefreiter in a Panzerabteilung, a heavy Panzerabteilung, who on August 5th, 1944, after 4.5 years of fighting at the front, died at the age of 24. So Schwerin Panzerabteilung, I mean, that could be Tigers, that could be Panthers. I think some of like the heavier tank destroyers, like the Elephants and things, those could also qualify. Not 100% sure which one he was in. I'll have to look that up later. I think the seller had mentioned he was in a Tiger battalion, but I don't remember if I verified that before the auction or not. Either way, I ended up getting a good price on it, so regardless of what unit he ends up in, it'll be interesting, I'm sure. Okay, this is the last envelope here. All right, we got more postcards, and it does not look like there's any note from the seller, so I'll just go ahead and open that. And actually, I'm kind of curious because I swear I've been to the place listed on this first card here. No, so I thought that was the Bavarian Village Museum, but it is not. That's not a place I've been to. And these are kind of newer postcards. Yeah, 1992. All right, let's see what we have here. Ooh, we have a very nice color card, it looks like. Beautiful. I don't think I've seen this one before. And interior we have for Hans Schultz, who was a Gefreiter in a Pioneer Battalion, buried the Iron Cross 2nd Class, the Italian, some kind of Italian medal. I don't think I've seen that before. And the wound badges, who was wounded on November 27th, 1941, or died on November 27th, 1941, after being wounded at Sidi Oma, I'm guessing North Africa maybe, on November 26th. Yeah, in Africa at the age of 22. So very cool. So we have a nice Africa Corps card here. That Italian medal is interesting. We have to do more research on that as well. But yeah, between that and the coloring, this is a super cool card. All right, now we're getting to the last package of this unboxing. This is the trench art that I was talking about. This is an exceptional piece of World War I trench art. It has some pretty neat provenance, which I don't see on a lot of my pieces, but I will talk about that a bit more once we get this open. I was worried this was not going to come in before I left on my trip, because my nightmare was this was going to be sitting outside in the unpredictable Pennsylvania spring weather and possibly get ruined. So very glad that A, it came in before I left, but B, that I was home sick today and was able to pick it up. All right, I do remember they said it came in a special box. Right, so there's some material in the box, kind of took it all out. So this is originally from the collection of Jane Kimball. Now, Jane apparently was the author of Trench Art and Illustrated History, which I've heard of as being like one of the seminal works on trench art. I unfortunately do not have a copy because used copies go for $300+ and it's currently out of print. But from the provenance that I have, this came out of their collection and apparently is featured on like page 1 of the book. So if anybody has the book and confirm that, please let me know. But if I open it up here, it's a very nice archival box as well. Oh, it's lovely. Look at this. So, this is a painted cow shoulder bone. I guess a bit of background. So, painted bone trench art is not very common. I've only seen maybe 5 or 6 pieces in the entire time I've been collecting. And this is by far the best piece I've ever seen. I almost feel like I need to go get gloves before I pick this up out of the box. 1 second. All right, I've returned. I'm gloved up. But as we can see here, apparently Jane had actually made this box specifically for this piece. But just look at that. So, painted in 1916 on the Eastern Front in memory of a fallen comrade whose name, unfortunately, has been chipped off there at the bottom. But yeah, you can see there was a lacquer applied to this at some point to protect the paint. And it is just stunning. The grave on the hilltop here, soldiers marching down on the road, broken down wagon or maybe artillery carriage. This is just... I don't know much about art, but this is kind of it. And like I said, painted bone trench art's not something you see very often. And yeah, the back's blank. But like I said, unfortunately, yeah, no remnant of the name there. Yeah, Euer Naaman. It's gone. Yeah, just a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. I have the translation of the poem somewhere too, but I don't have it on me. Yeah, I'm going to have to put together a really nice display case for that, because it deserves to be something that you can actually see and admire, but I'll put it back in the box for safekeeping for now. But yeah, obviously the varnish that was put on at some point is protecting it pretty well. I mean, nothing was flaking off while I was holding it there. It doesn't look like there's anything broken off in the box. So yeah, just super, super cool. When I saw the catalog get listed at the dealer that had this, put it back out so you guys can keep admiring it. When I saw this listed in the catalog, I kind of set a budget for myself and said, if it is up and it's still available when I go look at the website, and it is under X number of dollars, I'm going to buy it. And as fate would have it, it was $5 under my maximum that I was willing to spend. And frankly, even if it had been a little bit over, I probably would have still gone for it. Especially, as you guys know, I collect the death cards, so any kind of like funerary remembrance kind of stuff is stuff I'm really interested in. So combine that with one of my other great interests in the hobby, which is trench art, and you just get this really amazing piece. I couldn't pass it up. So yeah, I feel like I'm getting really excited and hard to understand now. Yeah, this is just an incredible, incredible piece. I really need to put it like a proper display together so this could be admired. I've been reorganizing the collection room a little bit, so maybe I'll be able to get something put together for that. But yeah, it's just, oh, it's so cool. So yeah, this has been a great unboxing between this gorgeous piece of trench art and then the plethora of death cards that also came in over the past month. Yeah, just really exciting stuff for the collection. I can't remember if I mentioned it, but I did the math recently, and at my current rate of doing death card videos, I put out just under 100 a year, and I think there's about 1,000 cards in my backlog, probably more than 1,000 at this point. So I have like 12 years of content in just death cards. So I need to find a way to speed that up, but I just don't have the time. So I don't know if I'm going to end up sprinkling more death card videos throughout the year besides just on Fridays, or what I'm going to do, but we'll see when I get there. But yeah, overall, really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for staying around to the end. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. Love hearing from you guys. Thank you all for watching. Happy collecting, and I'll see y'all again very soon.